Today's top spread lines is what we do on the early line. It's a hump day Wednesday, the first day of October. And sometimes we spread lines, Joe Raineri, to say, let's take a look at some of the day's games today, or maybe tomorrow. But if we have important spread lines in football and college football, most of the big games get played on a Saturday afternoon. But also spread lines are determined here to say, what's the spread and what's the headline of this game and why does it matter to me? Miami versus Florida State, one of the best rivalries in college football history, rekindles with two top 20 teams. Also, Joe, we could have had a much better, ranked game if Florida State had held on and beat Virginia, but they weren't able to do that. But Miami, Florida State, Doak Campbell Stadium, the spread right now, open 3.5, now sits at 4.5, has a favorite to the Hurricanes in a 53.5. Miami, Florida State, spread line for you, Joe. What is it?
Well, keep in mind here, this one's a huge one, especially for Miami, Donnie, because if they win, their path to the ACC championship game is about as easy and as carved out as humanly possible here, because Miami, SMU, they're going to be a big favorite. They're going to be just about a big favorite, almost 2 touchdowns in every game from here on out. So if they win this game, they punch their ticket to the college football playoff, barring any sort of, disaster that we have seen in years past. But the look-ahead line for this was Miami 6. 6 turned into 5.5, 5.5 turned into 5, 5 to 4.5. Now we're seeing 4s, Donnie, in this. It has been a steady stream of Florida State money in the marketplace. But the thing that I'm keeping an eye on here, keep an eye on this total. Why? It hasn't moved. We're talking about a offense in Florida State that averages 55 points a game here, Donnie, that just got exposed by Virginia, of all teams here. And now, while Miami's defense only given up just about 15 points a game, let's be realistic. They haven't faced anybody the caliber of Florida State's offense just yet. Notre Dame was able to put money on it. Why is this still at 54? It has not moved. I would grab it now because I think there's going to be a ton of over money before kickoff.
Let's go. Miami, Florida State, Saturday night in the ACC, the place to be here. Let's flip it up here. How about this? Oklahoma State and Arizona. Arizona opened up as a 16.5-point favorite, Joe. We're now seeing 20.5s in the marketplace in a 55.5 total. Oklahoma State post-Gundy right now. What's the spread line here, Joe?
All right, so listen, this is hilarious, and I have to mention this, Donnie, because it's my alma mater. But you're right. They fired Gundy, right? And then the first game after Gundy is Baylor last week. And listen, they looked way more competent against Baylor than they did against anybody else, right? The problem is, they gave up over 600 yards of offense to Baylor at home last week, Donnie. So you know what Oklahoma State did? They now fired their defensive coordinator, Todd Grantham, after this game. So now, I don't know, do you get the push for the fired coordinators as you got him for the head coach? The bottom line is, whether it's Grantham, you, me, or anybody else coaching the defense of Oklahoma State, the reality is team totals absolutely on the docket for anybody Oklahoma State plays, including this one against Arizona, Donnie. They are a hot mess, this team. A lot of different ways to fade Oklahoma State moving forward this season.
What it feels to me, Joe, is a lot of jailbreaks in that secondary there where nobody knows what they're doing, and guys will be wide open this weekend, something to watch out for. How about Duke in California? Weird to say that this is an ACC game, but it is, Joe. Duke on the road, a favorite of 2.5 to 3, depending on where you're shopping at, and a total now up to 56.5, which was posted at 52.5. The spread line for Duke, California, what is it, Joe?
Yeah, starting to see those 2.5s here now, opened up with Duke at 3.5. But you nailed it, Donnie. The spread line here to keep in mind is that, yes, this is an ACC game. But when you look at what these two teams, the traveling that they have had to do, Duke has now got to travel cross country. And we know that teams that have to keep doing this whole crisscross thing here, and that's the biggest issue with the ACC. Yeah, it's not great. We're talking Duke crossing 3 time zones to play at 10:30 p.m. internal time, which is not great here. This is the 3rd road game in 4 weeks for Duke. They traveled to Syracuse. They traveled to Tulane. Now they're traveling to Cal. And by the way, Cal is returning home after back-to-back road games. They had to cross 3 trips as well. San Diego State, now Boston College. Now they got to travel back home here. So both these teams are going to be very road weary here. I'd be careful if you think one team has a leg up on the other in this one.
It's a Hump Day Wednesday right here on the Early Line. It's a SportsGrid Network. Yes, we set the table each and every day. You know this, people, but also we still got to set that plate. We got to put that fork down. We got to put that glass down and tell you exactly what's going to happen overall this weekend. We just went over a lot of games this weekend for Sunday NFL. And I'll tell you what I do like about this, Joe. Every time we talk about it, like, we'll look at lines ourselves, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, try to get handicapped. And sometimes you like talk it through and you go, ooh, I think some of those angles are really good for this game. So just the conversation alone between me and you could spur that energy that the people like, you know what? I got to get involved on that line early today, Joe. How about that?
That's what it's all about. It's about getting the best number you can, giving yourself the best edge as possible, Donnie. Knowledge is power, my man, but timing is everything.
Absolutely it is. And timing right now for the AP poll, the top 25 here. Ohio State 1, Oregon 2, the U 3, Ole Miss at number 4, and OU, which is Oklahoma, at number 5. The same usual suspects typically, but Miami should have been in that 2 spot here. They got a chance to maybe get back to that 2 spot. They, Joe, got a tough game this weekend at Florida State, their rival. Miami is the favorite here. And I know you were looking at an angle, not so much who's going to win that game, but boy, there could be some advantages for these offenses to really get after it.
Well, yeah, I mean, listen, look at this, 53.5 and open up 54, Donnie. The total to me is going to be fascinating because I think it can only go one way. I think it's going to go up here. You got a Florida State team with Gus Malzahn as your offensive coordinator with a mobile quarterback who is used to playing Miami coming from Boston College. They are putting up points. Make no mistake about it. And as good as the defense has been for Miami, this is their real first test here away from home against a legit offense averaging 55.5 points a game. And just call me crazy. You know, it's not like Carson Beck's a freshman here. This guy has been there. He has done that. The defense of Florida State got a little bit exposed last week against Virginia, didn't they? I think points are coming in this one, Donnie. I think right now, sooner rather than later, if you are looking to bet the over, if you think this is going to be an under, I think you can wait until kickoff because I see this line only going one way, and that is up.
Like, I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, right? But college football is better when Miami is relevant, when Florida State is relevant, when Florida, who's not relevant this year, is relevant because it just adds to the intrigue here. And no matter what you say, I don't like Florida State, the rival of Miami. But, boy, I wasn't rooting for them to lose against Virginia because I knew those stakes of 2 top 10 teams, the way it always felt like it was for 15 years meeting. Still 2 top 20 teams here. Doe Campbell's going to be on fire. A lot of fun. And also, extra preparation time for the Miami Hurricanes and not so much there for the Florida State Seminoles. Game number 2, we'll talk about Vanderbilt and Alabama. What's that line, Joe? 56.5? No, it isn't. It's actually double digits, though, at 10.5. But Vanderbilt and Alabama both ranked, playing at Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa. How about that, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely unreal, right? Diego Pavia, here we go. Can they do it twice, Donnie? Can they upended them last year? Can they do it again this year? I don't think so, but this is another one where would not shock me if we get some sort of crazy shootout and a ton of points here, because that is legit the only way Vandy is going to have an opportunity to win this game is Pavia's got to play out of his mind, and I think points are coming in this one as well.
Should be a lot of fun. I can't imagine because this isn't your grandfather's Vanderbilt team where everybody just beats you around. The only reason that they're in the SEC because they can raid the GPA of the other schools here. All those jokes. They play quality football now, but can you imagine back-to-back victories for Vanderbilt over Alabama, including one of those games at Alabama? If you would have asked me 10 years ago, Nick Saban, like, this is a doormat game and an easy one that you just look at as a bye week, that's no longer the case. So some fun times here. Vanderbilt at Alabama is a major football game. Never thought I'd be saying those words, but here we are at this point right now. Let's take a look at another team from the state of Florida. That's the Gators. They're at home against Texas. Arch Manning coming to town. I don't like the Gators. I don't think they're that good, but something tells me this game, Joe, 41.5 is a total, spread between 6.5 and 7 where you're watching. Why am I being drawn over to the Florida Gators side as they can keep this one close? Am I wrong?
Well, because you don't trust Arch Manning on the road
Yeah.
against what is going to be the best defense that he has seen. He saw a pretty good one in Ohio State, by the way, which flustered him all over the place. And yes, this could be. Listen, the reason that Florida is where they're at right now has absolutely nothing to do with the defense. The defense has kept them in spots. Now you're expecting them coming off a bye week. What better way to get the season back on track than beating Texas in the swamp here? And they're going to do it with the defense here. Listen, Lagway has had some issues here, but I do think a week off, perfect anecdote here to take as many points as you want with the Gators at home, because I don't trust this Texas team to run away from anybody offensively.
The spirit of Mr. Two-Bits, Joe, going to be on fire for that game here, hoping that the Florida Gators can pull an upset over Texas, which would be comical for me. And where would that leave Arch Manning? Because let me tell you something right now. A total 41.5 and Florida wins that game. That means you didn't have great offense for Texas. And then the questions really start to mount of what you actually have at quarterback in that situation. Let's keep moving down the list. Boise and Notre Dame. Coming into the season, we probably thought this might be a top 10 team in Notre Dame, at least rankings-wise, taking on a ranked Boise State team. That's not the case. Boise State starting to fire back up after taking that opening day loss against USF. But Notre Dame, that offense is getting into gear. They didn't trust C.J. Carr against Miami when they should have. They've been trusting him since, and he's paid them back. Now, granted, they did lose to A&M, but 2 games where that offense is going up and down the field, and you know what? They're going to do it again this weekend, Joe.
Yeah, I love this offense of Notre Dame. It's one of the best offenses, the most electric offenses that they've had. Yeah. Well, now they got the running game going here. Yes, and I love this kid Carr, man. The freshman really I loved him. I thought he was great in the opening game against Miami. In Miami, how calm, cool, collective is, and he was slinging the ball around. He's only going to get better. He's only going to get more confidence. And listen, we saw Boise State go up against, South Florida. This is not your typical Boise State season here or player-wise here. A lot of new moving parts there. They got a good quarterback. Wouldn't shock me, Donnie, if we get a ton of points in this one either, but I think Notre Dame is just too much.
I love it. Like when you have a running game that is as sound as they have, the best 1-2, like I also look at Singleton and Allen in Penn State. They're phenomenal. I'm telling you right now, 1-1A with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's back there. Like, Jeremiah Love scored 4 times in the first half alone. And Kadarian Price, if he went anywhere but Notre Dame, would be a flat-out superstar and your lead tailback here. I like what I'm seeing out of Notre Dame. And again, I'm telling you, they will be in the college football playoff because they're going to run the table, and nobody's leaving out Notre Dame when 10 straight victories, baby, the hottest in the nation. Keep an eye on that. Wisconsin and Michigan, a Big Ten battle, 15.5 to 16.5 as a favorite for the home team here. The Wolverines going up against the Badgers of Wisconsin. Low total, Joe, 42.5, 2-2 versus 3-1.
They are awful, Wisconsin. I mean, my goodness. They are just not, I don't know what, they can't figure out. I just don't know what they are anymore. They went, they tried this failed experiment here of trying to be this run and gun offense that didn't work. And now they're trying to go back to be ground and pound. And it's just not working out with Luke Fickell, I think, who, quite honestly, is a lame duck head coach here. I think Wisconsin is going to pick up the pieces and have to start over. I think this is all Michigan here. Would not shock me at all if this is a blowout at the Big House here for Michigan.
By the way, let me squeeze in another one, a tight game this weekend. Oklahoma, Kent State, Joe. Minus 45.5 for Oklahoma. The total is only 53.5. So my question to you, 1 touchdown or no touchdowns for Kent State?
Kent State's team total is 2.5, Donnie. So it's not even a question of a touchdown. It's a question of whether or not they get a field goal. And they've already scored at least 10 points against other Power 4 schools here. If you don't think that backdoor team total cover is available for them, you're out of your mind. There will be backups and third stringers playing in the third quarter for OU, Donnie, who's without their starting quarterback. I would definitely take the team total over.